All right, so I told myself I'm not going to hold back on things that are just truths and realities. They're not intended to offend people, but they are the truths of what I observe. And when I've done something for as long as I have as a professional, I think it's my place to point out these observations. Despite people can be kicking and screaming, or just their own narcissism will not let them admit to themselves that I'm right or I have a point. Maybe it's about something they're doing with just with their dogs. I have my issues with people, but and how people can treat me, even being on the spectrum. And I tell people, I might talk different. I'm telling you my intentions. If I had the wrong intent, or you ask me to clarify what I say, I'm happy to. I ask them, can they clarify for my own, to help me for my own knowledge at times, and they get upset at that. The same thing they do with their dogs. They just want to keep doing what they're doing. They think they're right, despite what their dogs are obviously not faring well if I'm there in front of them. And a lot of times they just want to, it's not even like they're doing it innocently. If they just like, well, I'm just got to learn, I got to get more used to it, but they're communicating that, they're just like getting, a lot of people get this response where they know I'm right because the dog doesn't do it with me, or when they come to classes, the dog doesn't do it, or the dog acts, so they see like what I'm saying has to have validity, because it's not like, well, Brett, when you handle the dog, it does the same thing, so you can't tell me that I've got to be a better leader if you're struggling too. And granted, there's dogs that don't listen to me right away, and I have to work at it, but usually that process goes pretty quickly if I have to work on things with the dog. And also I have a track record. I mean, even if you just never saw anything and say, well, this guy's got all this info out there, he's obviously doing this for a long time, he wouldn't be able to stay in business with all these reviews and all that if he didn't have a knack for this. I might have to listen to him and open my mind. And my dog doesn't think like me, and maybe that's the problem. I'm not willing to step out of my own mind to see how my dog sees it and thinks. So yeah, this is the number one problem with my job. It's like, then I get stressed because, I care a lot, and I'm also just trying to, in my head, I'm like, well, how many ways can I explain this? So me trying to, it's not that abstract, but I understand that a lot of people have a hard time seeing something out of their own mind's eye. People on the spectrum are pretty good at like just seeing like, this is what it is, whether you like it or not. The feelings or the social part of it isn't really coming into play. It's just like, this is that. That's why we're good at math. We're good at observing animals, patterns, remembering things, seeing, but we're not good at the social nuances that we don't even see or at times pick up on. And it could be, the opposite. But for dogs, they don't care about that. If anything, they feel that we're just not communicating to them clearly, because we're seeing it from, again, that human kind of, they call it allistic type of thinking, which is thinking how your mind's eye dictates you to see it with a heavy filter put on it while you're trying to follow certain societal, social, psychological norms in your head. Usually with innocent intention, but there's a kind of deep level of lack of self-awareness in it. But again, the dogs are like, why can't you just address what's going on? Case in point, I've talked about this, is I'll be working with a client and I tell them, okay, when your dog has a lot of dogs I see, more than half, 75% of them, they have issues with greetings, usually pretty strong issues. They react, they bite, they get aggressive. If they're a puppy, they get wild, they pee, they jump, they nip, they can't control themselves. And that carries over to even when they see new people or new dogs out in the world on walks or in new environments. So I tell them, when a person shows up, you have to know they're coming. There's an excuse for that. But I can't, it's like, this is what you need, so do it. Tell the people to text you. Well, people, just do it. Figure out a way. Put a sign on the door. There's a solution, and this is what your dog needs. Your dog doesn't understand excuses. Your dog, it is or isn't. That's it. That's the mindset we're dealing with. Okay. Then when I show up, I'm like, okay, your dog should be in their place, and have someone answer the door while you keep the attention on you with a command. Correct if they bark. Reward if they, and be focused on them. Focus on them. It's about their world we're in, not what humans do, where we're going to come off distracted if we're talking and saying how you've been and looking at each other and not down through the leash of the dog. And after I explain all that, I send videos, both showing it, podcast articulating it, reminders in a text on the way. And how many people just default right to the like, oh, hey, Brett. And I'll be like, your dog, look. And then they get mad at me because I didn't follow, because I don't care about social graces. I'm there to help the problem. If I'm there to fix an emergency situation, which to your dog, this is life and death to them, there's bleeding, we got to stop it. And really, we should never have let it start if we had control from the get-go. And again, it comes to them, and then people can get defensive and not want to listen. And it's like, I'm just telling you what your dog needs over and over and over again with a demonstrable result and track record to back it up. But people get, this is the hard part of my job, but this is a lot of You know, these people, sometimes they can't even have enough empathy or respect for the fact that something can think differently than they do and adjust as such, even if they think they're playing an act or a game. Well, when you're playing baseball, you play basketball, so you have to get into a mode. You get into a headspace of the sport you're playing, right? Like the rules applied, what you're supposed to do, the limits, your position obligations. And what's nice is when you're playing a position, you don't manage the whole team. You're worried about your position and things related to it. That's how a dog has to play their position in life with you. But you're in that mode too. But you're not in basketball mode in baseball. You're not in work mode when you're on vacation. You're not in breakfast mode when you're at dinner. So just create a mode. It just has to be, when in the presence of your dog, a constant mode, at least if you're working through some serious issues, or you want to consistently teach a good habit and create a certain role that would promote that good habit to be a normalized kind of way of operating because of the security that's associated with it instinctively, and then calmer choices through conditioning. So if this made even a little bit of sense to you, you're on the right track.